All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to I'll name this segment later. GTG spits that grease, so on and so forth. Titles forever in the works. Okay, because I've been out of the loop for a little bit, better part of a week actually, give or take. I'm really gonna, this is gonna come out super late. The goal is to get this out Friday morning, Friday the 21st, which is what today is to try to get it out to you by later on in the morning. If not, then you probably won't see this till Monday. I want to try to stream this weekend too, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm so far behind, and IRL, real life comes at you fast. In any case, so if the title hasn't given me away yet, we're going to talk a little bit about, well, briefly, like super brief. I'm really just going to give you guys my opinion on this whole nonsense with this God Pack situation. But even more importantly than that, DSP is also now making threats to go after other detractors, clippers and editors now actually. He's making a threat to do that. Chio, big ups to Chio and whatnot. Chio 18 brought up a fantastic point to me. It's probably been a few days now at the time that I'm recording this, but they brought up a fantastic point about Safeway, I was talking about that whole picture with the fan and whatever, but Chio brought up a fantastic point as it pertains to that in Pokemon machines, card machines. So we're going to talk about that. And ironically enough, a few days after speaking to Chio about that, I ended up hearing DSP, or someone sent me a clip of DSP crying and complaining about US Postal. Or maybe it was around that time actually. But anyway, DSP was crying about US Postal, and he was saying how it's unreliable, he hates it, you know, let him get FedEx or UPS or anybody else but US Postal or United States Postal. And ironically enough, that made me instantly think, because DSP says something along the lines that he had ordered a bunch of card packs or card boxes or card sets, whatever, and they didn't come in. And so he like completely lost those shipments. Now, he's not sitting there telling these people that he got his money refunded to him. He's just saying that he lost the shipments, which does open up the conversation on how many boxes is he actually ordering outside of what we've speculated on and what's been confirmed. Two, it also it made me think back to that one situation where DSP's like, oh, I went out today, I was a big boy now, and I went out and actually bought a pack of cards. I want to tell you that was the Pitch Black set. I want to tell you that was box number 3. Where you remember that one morning where he said he had to go out and get a card box because whatever he ordered wasn't going to make it in time, yada, yada, yada. Well, ladies and gentlemen, initially I thought he may have gone to a Pokemon card machine and gotten that box. Or maybe he went to, I don't know if GameStop, or I thought he possibly could have gone to GameStop to pick this up, which they're still very plausible. For all we know, that morning, he may have just gone out and been on the hunt looking for Pokemon cards. He may have dropped Kat off to work or whatever the case may be, or she was off that day, and he just went on the hunt for Pokemon cards, except for going to Shane's cards, unless he did and didn't tell nobody. But now I have a new contender to enter into the ring on this. Maybe, just maybe, the reason why DSP was over exaggerating and building himself up on, I can go out, I can leave my house, all these idiots say I don't go anywhere, well, I went out there to get you guys cards. Maybe he actually went to the post office to get the cards, because DSP said that they were supposed to be delivered to his door. No one answered the door, meaning that either Kat was in some type of food coma or she wasn't home, and DSP was upstairs yelling and screaming and ranting about the tractors. They left a note on his door, or in his mailbox, I think he said, about how, hey, you missed your shipment, now you have to come to the post office and get it. Maybe he went to the post office that day to pick up that card box. Semantics. I haven't gotten a chance to share that with anybody yet, but thank you to Chio. And then DSP with his little rant the other day about US Postal is what's allowing me to bring that together. Anywho, let's continue, because I'm on a bit of a time crunch here. I will expand upon all this stuff later, so I'm just giving you guys my initial thoughts as it pertains to this God Pack or whatever the case may be. My understanding is these are the Japanese cards. My understanding is, I don't know if the statistics as it pertains to the Japanese cards are the same to the American cards. I doubt it, being that Japanese cards are more likely to get you guys to get bigger hits, but they cost less because they're, let me not say they cost less. They do. The box sets are way cheaper than the American box sets, but also they're not as valuable because there are more of them in circulation. So all of the cards that DSP is kind of gushing about and whatever, that's all well and good, but there are already a good amount of those cards in circulation of the Japanese version or variety. So there you go on that. So he's doing all this gushing and all this, you know, nonsense, and it doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme. In any case, he pulled this God pack. I took a quick glimpse at the first maybe minute or so. He pulls one card and then immediately says it's a God pack, just off rip. That in itself is already suspicious. I can't take his word on that bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? No, I can't do that just because he pulled one card, you know, randomly out of the deck and shit. I know he tries to make it seem like he's pulling it from the bottom, but in reality, he could be pulling it from anywhere in that deck, outside of the top, of course. That doesn't mean anything. Secondly, as people have pointed out on Detractor Twitter, I looked that up literally just a few minutes ago, on Detractor Twitter, and you can find it on the forums, you can literally buy a pack with all the same cards that he has, with similar imperfections, meaning that the cards are curved or there are other imperfections to the card. You can find some of these on eBay for like $100, $200. You know what I'm saying? So I understand right now that there's currently some discourse on people actually think that he got lucky, that pig luck is a thing. Pig luck is a thing. And I understand that. I'm someone who believes in that just like anybody else does, who's been around long enough. But my thing is, you guys really think that DSP wouldn't pay for a God set? All right, let's look at this from two different angles, and I'm going to try to make this quick. Which means this is probably going to go for an hour, and I'm not going to make my time. I'm not going to make this to the editor in time. Okay. Was it straight luck? Is it possible that DSP could have just pulled this God pack out of whatever box that he's going with and win for DSP, whatever. Oh, speaking of which, like I said, it's a big up to Chio. Big ups to Raw Phil, by the way, too, because this is where we're getting all this from. Is it possible that DSP could have pulled this off straight luck? He was on the straight and narrow about this whole thing. Sure, it's absolutely possible that he did, in his one in a few thousand or whatever the statistics are, that he could have pulled this God pack. Okay, cool. And if that is the case, so what? For all we know, if we're playing the odds and we're just playing statistics, who knows how many boxes he's bought altogether? Not only what he's presented to us front facing, but what's behind the snout. We don't, behind the scenes. I like behind the snout better though, but behind the snout, who knows what he's purchased behind the scenes and whatnot. So under those circumstances, who could say anything about anything? You spend enough money in Vegas, you're going to hit a jackpot. You're more than likely going to lose it because you're going to chase the next jackpot, which is what you're seeing with this mongoloid right now, but same concept. So if he hit it, if he legitimately hit it, he hit it. No one cares. Who gives a fuck? Like, no one cares. He alienated himself with the Pokemon community already. It don't mean shit. They're the Japanese version of the cards. That also doesn't mean anything because you're more than likely to get all of these cards, if not in a God pack. You're going to get these individually over the span of a few pack openings. So that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And the reality of it, if he really pulled it, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't. The average detractor, troll, hater, or critic is still going to be at the luau, waiting for them to get their portion and whatnot. It doesn't mean anything. Now, with that being said, let's talk about, no pun intended. That being said, let's talk about if he faked it or if he did buy it off eBay or wherever else. Okay, let's go ahead and look at some of the particulars as it pertains to the situation. DSP has been pushing these Japanese packs for a while. He's the one who's really the driving force behind it. Yes, it was recommended to him by a dent, but he's the one that's now pushing the narrative on this thing. Why? Well, as Proper had, I don't know if Proper said this publicly, but as he's told me, the cards are cheaper and whatnot. So what he's gonna pull in quote unquote profit off of these Japanese cards is gonna be far better than the American ones. Now, obviously everybody's gonna want the American cards. DSP is too, because DSP can't read Japanese and he hates Asians. So of course It is what it is. But the reality is with these Japanese packs, though he's more than likely to get better cards, there are less cards in the overall pack. So it is what it is. Well, the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, as it pertains to this Japanese set, this is my frame of mind. There are so many different Japanese sets out there that he could literally go back and forth between them long before he ever has to go back to the American cards. And because they're considered special edition boxes or whatever the case may be, he can go ahead and spin that and flip that in his little gotcha system, milestone system all he wants, and he can play that any way he sees fit. So he has the advantage there too. The reality also is that he's probably opened up that box or a similar box to that off screen a bunch of times. Who knows what he has and what he doesn't have. So yet again, my point being is that if he's trying to push the Japanese cards a little bit more, if he's trying to make them a bit more popular amongst his dens because they're cheaper and because a lot of these are already well-established sets that he can get a far easier than some of the American sets, and yet again far cheaper, then why not? That right there in itself is a good enough initiative for him to go ahead and buy a rigged pack or whatever you want to call it, to go ahead and present it to these dens and act like, hey, there is value for us going over these cards. On top of that, it gives him even more justification to double tap, triple tap, quadruple tap that ass and get that same card pack multiple times to try to pursue all of the hits in that particular set, which DSP has already kind of alluded to anyway since he started using the Japanese sets, since he started using the American sets. That right there in itself is enough of a motive for him to lie or to cheat the system, if you will, and act like he was able to pull this God pack. On top of that, let's also talk about the whole Pokemon community angle. He's talking some nonsense about wanting to, yet again, flag down channels because allegedly his God pack video should have 20,000 views or whatever the fuck, but it didn't, or 20 to 40,000, but it didn't because detractors, trolls, haters, and critics. I don't know who posted or who didn't, but I didn't actually even see really anybody hyper focus on that in particular until I saw a clip of DSP talking about wanting to flag channels down again. So where are all these other detractors who have 20, 40,000 views on their video? And even now, who has this? Who are the people who did this? So his justification to going after that doesn't make any sense because you sat there and shitted on a community who was already questioning your motives, was already questioning your methods, and you basically said, hey, fuck you, I'm gonna do what I want. Hey, fuck you, I'm gonna open up the cards the way I wanna open them, and I don't care what any of you guys think or how I do it, I'm gonna do it the way I wanna do it. Then you turn around and say, oh, well, you guys need to give me 20,000 views. You guys need to give me 40,000 views. For what? So that goes back to what I told you guys when he first alienated himself to the Pokemon community, that you are looking to abuse them. You are looking to take advantage of them. You are looking to financially molest them and whatnot and use them for clout. But see, because DSP is an emotional bitch, he ain't sat there and got ahead of himself and whatnot, and now he screwed himself. Now he needs someone to blame because he can't blame himself. So blame the detractors for stealing the content. That's what the play is now. Go after your editors and clippers and get them up and out of pocket, because I'm guessing he feels like, okay, well, that situation with Raw Phil in DSP's mind, oh, that worked out. I am getting better viewership. I am getting this. I am getting that. Last time I heard, that message he used to put up in his chat on YouTube about the whole stream being botted, that's gone. That's gone now. Last time I heard, last time I've seen, that's not there no more. So what does that mean? Now that so now you don't want to present, oh, well, hey, my stream's being botted. Please don't bring that up. You don't want that no more. So now you want to take artificial inflation and now make it seem like it's a real thing again, because it's not going to stop. So now you want to do it that way. It's not going to get you in actual trouble, at least that you've seen. So now you want to go ahead and go about it this way. Now you want to go ahead and try to make them real. So you're going to try to use that as your justification to now go after other channels. That's crazy. On top of that, if he's willing to do this over fucking Pokemon cards, what's he willing to do over GTA 6 when that drops? Because whether you're clipping DSP's incompetence or just anything GTA related, raw, if you will, so like your own gameplay or whatever, clips of all that shit's gonna go viral. Anything that XQC is doing, anything Asmongold's doing, anything any big streamer's doing, that shit's gonna get clipped and be put on individual channels. That's just gonna get crazy views, especially if they're little funny moments and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it sounds like he's definitely wanting to try to future-proof his situation by going after detractor channels just over that. Semantics, we'll talk about that later. So now, so he does have motive to, so he does have stake, so to speak, in this idea of this God pack is real, and he pulled it legitimately, and you need to support it. The reality is, as far as I see it, and keep in mind I'm biased as hell because I'm going for hater of the year, the chances of this shit being legit, sure, there's a chance like anything else, but you got to admit, you don't have to side with me, but you have to admit that on the opposite side of that, like the benefits of him faking this shit or him rigging the box or whatever to try to pass it off like this is a legitimate thing, there's far more upside for him. There's far more upside in the fact that he is speaking about it the way he's speaking about it. Like everybody, like he's been going on a ramble for the last few days about it's a real God pack, it's a real God pack, this, that, and the third. You're not helping your case. And truth be told, who's gonna care? Like I said earlier on, the only people who give a shit about this are detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, and a few dents. No one gives a fuck. The overall Pokemon community doesn't give a shit. And because this idiot's too stupid to get anything graded and try to future-proof his quote-unquote investment, which is what he called it a few weeks ago, they're all worthless cards anyway. It's all worthless anyway. So who gives a shit? Like, who really gives a shit? Now, obviously, I'm going to hyper-focus on it because you have to assume everything that comes out of DSP's mouth is a lie until you can prove it's the truth. If you guys want to go off evidence, if you guys want straight proof and straight facts, fair enough. I think the shit's fake. Prove it. Prove me wrong. I've laid out just some of the evidence that I think that he would have had benefit to prove it, or that he would have had the benefits of faking it. Prove otherwise, if you really care that much. The reality is none of you care that much. The reality is he more than likely did go ahead and just buy one of those random packs off eBay or wherever else, and then he passed it off as it's the original. Why not? First off, the box wasn't it wasn't a brand new box that he opened. It was an already open box. Two, you guys, or some of you anyway, believe that he paid for that Greninja, I think is what it's called, that Greninja for like $300 something. So you're okay with him buying, let me reword that. You're okay with thinking that he may have bought an individual card, which was his most valuable card, which is also the card that's lost the most money. Sweet irony there. You guys might be okay with thinking that, but you're not okay with thinking that. Some of you are not okay that he would sit there and pay for this pack right here. Let's say he did buy that Greninja. What was that? $360, $380, whatever it was. You're telling me he wouldn't invest another $180 for 5 cards, or sorry, for 10 cards in this God pack? I'm just going off what y'all saying, because here's the thing. We know for sure that if he did buy that Greninja, if he did get the Greninja legit, he got it off screen. We also know that he's been lying. Well, he was lying in the beginning about buying cards off screen or doing card openings or whatever until he got caught. Then he realized they weren't going to care. So he was like, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever I want anyway. So he's already purchasing cards, or he's already purchased cards behind the scenes that he's not telling everybody what he's buying. He's opening cards behind the scenes. He's not telling everybody that either. So we think, or some of you think, that he did buy his most valuable card solo individually, which makes sense on why he hyperfixates on the value of the damn thing if he bought it as a single and not getting it out of a pack. So you guys are really questioning that he may have not have paid for this? That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying is truth be told, excuse me, it points to, like I said, until you can prove he's innocent, well, I mean, until you can prove DSP's legitimacy, you have to dispel everything out there that, not everything, but you have to dispel most of the facts out there that he's not guilty. And He has far more upside in lying, cheating, and stealing, quote unquote, than he does otherwise. The fact that he sat there and cried and complained about how he should have gotten 20 or 40,000 on this don't make no sense. You're not part of that community. You said you've said multiple times you don't care to be part of that community. You said that you're gonna do what you're gonna do what you want. Fuck all them. And yet you thought they were gonna turn around and reward you. They don't know you, and the ones who do know enough to avoid you. So eat a dick. So, which is even crazier now that I think about it, because he kind of exposed how little reach his channel actually has, and more importantly, how few people give a fuck about who he is and what he does in the current day and age within his own audience. There's a third point to that. He also proves by trying to go ahead and shit fling onto detractors how little they cared about this God Pack too, which is probably one of the reasons why he's targeting, or he says he's going to publicly target, which is really just him pig whistling that he wants other people to strike edited channels and clip channels on his behalf. That's what he really wants. It also kind of goes forth and proves that no one really cared about this God Pack thing. So what did he do? He leaned on his detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, because it's all he has. And then let me go back. I said that he's pig whistling, excuse me, which he is. He's pig whistling for other people to do this. How do I know that? Well, look at the whole situation with Raw Phil again. According to DSP, he never said anything about Raw Phil. Other people came to him that he don't follow on Twitter. They slipped into his DM somehow, which makes no sense because you can't DM DSP unless you're following him, at least as far as I remember. And they told him en masse, because there was like 3 or 4 of them who he don't know, randomly showed up and said, hey, we flagged down Raw Phil, don't worry about nothing, we got you. But he don't know none of these people. Now he's put out the public edict that he's gonna go after clip and edited channels now. Huh. Well, doesn't that make him actually complacent in the Raw Phil thing? If there was any doubt, of course. And now he's just gonna do the same scheme again, because what does he have left? Which means, let's try to be front thinking about this. As I said earlier, it sounds like he's trying to prep himself for GTA. It sounds like he's trying to get himself in position to where when GTA comes out that he can get everything. And if he has to do it on the back of Pokemon, then so be it. But that's not a justifiable cause. The thing with Raw Phil was on some bullshit, as we all know, but it was mainly on the back of that whole exploit on the chat. YouTube don't give a fuck about him not getting views off Pokemon cards. So what's his angle going to be? He doesn't have one. He's just putting out the threat, hoping someone else will do it. And then something comes along, and then he can try to piggyback off that as justification later. If not, that Raw Phil thing was a fluke. It was pig luck at its finest, and he may not be able to replicate it. Same thing right here with this whole God Pack situation. You're supposed to believe that he ended up pulling a $380 card or whatever it was out of a pack off stream, out of another box that he didn't tell nobody about until he had to fess up to it. And then all of a sudden he gets a God Pack on stream for a card set that most people don't have any interest in because they can't read the cards. But all of a sudden DSP can go ahead and pronounce all of their names, or at least as best he can. And he was able to pull a God Pack all of a sudden, because he's already pushing the narrative that, hey, these Japanese packs are great. There's so many different ones. There's no reason why we shouldn't do it. Plus they're cheaper. So that means we can do more of them. So I'm supposed to believe this. You're supposed to believe that. Nah, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think that's just way too convenient. I think that's just way too convenient for the situation and whatnot. It's way too convenient. And the fact that, let me be clear about this, the fact that there are people who think that he did pull it through pig luck, I can understand, because you have someone who's a pathological liar, but human nature dictates that he can't lie about everything, right? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can understand why some of you feel like, okay, it's very possible that he pulled it. But yet again, because it's not a brand spanking new box, because there are the means out there to obtain those cards through, you could obtain those cards through a single pack and get it somewhere else. Why? Yet again, you're seeing him open it right now. That's not a brand new box. The box has already been compromised. You're telling me he couldn't have bought a couple of packs of that same card set on eBay or wherever else, found that one of them, maybe 2 of them were instant hits, and then be like, all right, let me slide this one into this box right here, and then let's see what's up. I'm not saying that he did it or he didn't. I'm just giving you an alternative. You're telling me that he couldn't do that? You're telling me he wouldn't do that. Knowing that he needs these Japanese card sets to really be a hit because they are cheaper, he can get them far more easily. And more importantly than that, if people feel, if he can get fake clout from the Pokemon community, which is not even clout, he wants envy. He wants these people to envy him. If he can get that, you're telling me that right there isn't enough for him to lie, cheat, or steal? Like I said, you got these random people in his chat blowing him up saying, oh yeah, this one Pokemon guy, or there's a couple of people in the Pokemon community who really want that card and they can't get it. They're going to be mad at you now. They're going to be jealous of you now. And he's just feeding into it. You can see his piggy titties just start to basically inflate or become engorged over the idea that he's getting something that other people can't get. So you're telling me he wouldn't fake getting a God pack? Really? Which is fine, yet again. It's whatever. just like the burden of his innocence is kind of on you, the burden of his guilt is on me. So it is what it is on that. But that's my initial thoughts, at least from what I've seen. Like I said, in that there's just too much nonsense going on. You got this God pack. No one gives a shit. No one on the Pokemon side, no one on the Dent side, nobody on your detractors, trolls, haters, and critics side. Then you get mad about how you're not able to get 20 to 40,000 views on said video, but you see other content creators, other Pokemon content creators do it. Well, you're not part of the Pokemon community. You have no skin in the game. You have no dog in the fight, so to speak. So why would any of them care about you anyway? And now you want to strike channels over it. You want to strike channels over phantom numbers that don't do shit for you. Speaking of which, I heard that YouTube is changing how a view is going to be counted, but that doesn't even mean anything in reality. Because like, it doesn't and don't. Because really, they're trying to make channels more appealing to sponsorships or into brand deals, which are two things that he says are for shills and everything anyway. So that completely disregards him from that conversation. But a view is still going to be counted the exact same way either which way, that you need a certain amount of qualified watch time for YouTube to count it as a view. So you can, get your ad revenue or whatever the case may be. That right there is still going to hold. They're just now willing to basically, all the numbers that they were taking away from people through, I want to say through ad block, now they're willing to give it back. It's just funny how they're kind of rewording it and saying, oh, well, we used to qualify as what used to be the qualifications for what was considered a view. Oh, we're going to go ahead and just reinstate that. But a lot of people's views were going down based on ad block. So how are they going to explain that? Or are they actually doing both and they're just not telling you about the second half? Whatever. So it is what it is. That's just my conspiracy theory by Google, if you will. But I think there's far more justification for him to actually lie about this than there is for him to have gotten it through pig luck. Yeah, statistically speaking, it's very possible. Hell, for all we know, because you can actually find packs on eBay and some of these other places with all of the same cards that he has, with some of the similar imperfections, it makes me think that he faked this shit. Or it's possible that it's faked. I'm not sure what to think yet. I'm just giving you what I'm thinking initially. He's not beyond lying, stealing, and cheating, so why would anybody suspect anything now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, now, granted, if you don't care about any of this God Pack bullshit anyway, then it's go with what you're comfortable with and just keep it pushing until something comes up later. Because, yet again, as the tradition is over here, you give DSP enough rope and he'll hang himself. So sooner than later, something's going to slip. Sooner than later, he's going to end up exposing himself and we're going to be fucked. For example, whatever the binder binder that he's using for this particular card set, if he opens that shit up one day to show you and you see one of those big hit cards in that binder, which is also on his little display thing over there for his valuable cards, then everything that I'm saying right now will be proven as a fact. For example, what's the chances that he pulled 2 of the same damn card, or even 3? Not to say it couldn't happen, but what's the chances at that point? And this isn't me pushing the goalpost back or anything. This is me just giving you an alternative. This is me giving you something to think about later. Fuck being right now. Let's figure out let me give this to you now, and then let's see what happens later. This is long form thinking here. You know what I'm saying? Which is what most detractors push anyway. So it is what it is. But that's my thoughts. I don't think there's anything outside of that. But like I said, I'll go over the video with you guys later. Then, like I said, I need to bring up the situation that Chio discovered. And then there's a few other things that I need to throw at you guys too. But like I said, I'm way behind. So I got a bunch of binging to do, and I miss streaming, so I need to jump back on that. It's just IRL comes at you fast. I've been busy. But in any case, that's my initial thoughts. Let me know what you guys think and whatnot. That's what my thoughts are. I think it's possible that this has all been faked. Like I said, he needs these Japanese cards to be a hit. And how is he going to do that? Pull a God pack. Pull something that no one else has pulled, or very few people pull, let's say that. And pass it off like it's legit. And then rant and rave about it for the last few days. Keep in mind, no one in the Pokemon community cares. None of his dents care. He's literally just fighting detractors at this point, and most detractors don't care. Most detractors don't care. I'm probably the only idiot who's chosen to rant about this shit so far. You know what I'm saying? No one really cares. I do, because it's another chance to prove that DSP's lying or about some shit. But you know me. You know what I'm saying? I got chased. That's the dog in me. But outside of that, no one really gives a shit. You know what I'm saying? That's why his whole lie about detractors stole his views don't make no damn sense. There's maybe one or two people maybe who actually may have had a video out on this before he ranted about it. Now everybody wants to go back and clip it because it's going to piss him off. But outside of that, initially, no one cares. No one on the Pokemon, there's three sides to this. No one on the Pokemon side, no one on the detractor, troll, hater, critic side, and none of his dents care. Nobody cares. Legit. It only cares now because he's pissed off. And maybe, and this is me giving him way too much credit, maybe that's part of his plan to drum up interest. But if that video, at the point that you guys are watching this now, doesn't have 10,000 views, no one gives a shit. If it barely has 5,000 views, no one gives a shit. I don't even know if it's broken 2 or 3 of this. I don't care. I don't really care. I assume he's lying, and I'm not willing to go to his channel right now to look. So there you go on that. All right, anyway, that's my initial thoughts. Like I said, I got a lot to do to catch up and shit, so I got a lot of videos to watch, and I got a lot of fucking research to do and shit, and so on and so forth. So there you guys go on that. Let me get this shit off. I'm done looking at that. Big ups to Raw Phil. Big ups to Chio. Big ups to all y'all. But that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let me go ahead and unpack. Let me get some fucking sleep and shit, and then fuck it. And then I'll figure out what I'm gonna do over the next couple days. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been, I'll name the segment later, GTG Spits That Grease. You ain't got shit to complain about but God packs. But like I said, there's more reason for him to have faked this than it being legit. And like I said, on both sides of that coin, anything's possible. But it is what it is. All right, so there you guys go on that. All right, I'm done. I'll take care of yourselves, people. And I'll talk to you guys later. Later, people.